Hey guys, welcome to the channel Fates of Comic. I'm your host and the admin of the account Bastard Rex. So today we are going to talk about Star Wars Duel of Fates, which was going to be made by Colin Trevorrow. So today to talk about this unmade movie, I have my friend Mr. Sir CB with me. So we're going to ask him some question and talk about this movie which we never got to see. So welcome to the podcast, Mr. Sir CB.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess you have seen all the concept art of this movie. So what do you think about it?
See, if you look at the concept arts, each of this concept art just reveal everything about that movie. It was really something. It had everything. Guts, glory, grandeur, everything. And when you look at behind the scenes drama which was happening in Disney and Lucasfilm, it's really a shame that this movie never got made.
So compared to the episode 9 which we got, what do you think? Did J.J. Abrams did a good thing with the
let me tell you one thing. Everything was planned. Literally everything was planned from start to end, from 7, 8, 9. But what happened is it was some executives, like Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, who messed it up. If you look at Force Awakens, the first time the film came out, the public reception was kind of mixed, even though it has been stated that it is positive. But most of the criticism was like, it had a kind of a retro look, like what George Lucas said, and mostly it was a derivative, of other films.
Okay.
But JJ just started the film with some baby steps. He had big plans after episode 8 and 9, but Disney, as per he had signed something with him. I guess he wanted complete creative control of all these films, which he didn't get by the first film. And by the time he had signed the 9th film, which is the Rise of Skywalker, he again demanded that same thing again to Disney executives, and in the last they actually messed it up. It was a big mess.
Okay, so again, let's talk about episode 9. Let's keep Duel of Fates aside for a few seconds and talk about episode 9. So there has been rumors going on that there exists a extended cut of Rise of Skywalker. So what do you think about it? Is it any better than the version we got in the theatrical version, or is it similar to the theatrical version?
See, let me be honest about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't want to piss off anyone.
Okay.
I just want to be true. I really don't think there is an director's cut of a movie. Yeah, there might be an extended one, but I don't think there is a director's cut of the movie. There are, see, if you look at films, there are alternate scenes. Like if you look at the Shazam movie, the opening scene, the first time Dr. Sivana, the child, meets the wizard Shazam, it was filmed differently. If you look at the deleted scenes, they film alternately. Every film has an alternate scene, and they are meant for something. Yeah. For example, I'll tell you one thing about Rise of Skywalker. When the movie opens, all of a sudden the film starts, at the planet Mustafar, if I'm spelling it right, and we see he's fighting some goons or something, I don't know, over there, and he just retrieves that wayfinder, if I'm right. Wayfinder?
Yep.
That wayfinder, and from some kind of a stone artifact or something like that. But in the what I'm hearing from my source is that the scene where he gets the wayfinder, he actually gets it from that creature from the concept art, if you see. And during that production, it was named as the Oracle, if I'm right. It was named at the production. It was completely temporary. That wasn't chosen one. That Oracle actually hands over the Wayfinder to him, and there is a behind, and there was one backstory that wasn't specified in that movie. Like, why does Kylo Ren, all of a sudden goes to Mustafar and just randomly goes and finds a Wayfinder?
So let's also talk about episode 8. Do you think Rian Johnson really messed up the Star Wars franchise, or he was, his ways are justified?
No. See, he didn't have any kind of aim to destroy Star Wars. If you look at his previous films like Looper or the other films, or like The Knives Out, which came out recently, um, they, I'll tell you one thing: he's the best guy in the industry who works on original material. Okay, and when it comes to Star Wars, um, I will personally tell you one thing: it was a good film, but the only thing which destroyed that thing was that fucking Canto Bight scene, that casino scene. I really hated that one. So when you look at the film, the first thing which comes in your mind is this fucking Star Wars?
Yeah.
And see, first time I saw the film, I was really shocked. Literally, the characters were destroyed like anything. If you look at the character of General Hux, or the character of Rey or Luke, especially Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Even Mark Hamill was disappointed upon his portrayal of that character.
I guess they also kind of destroyed the character of Benicio del Toro in that movie.
He just agreed to play that villain once.
Yeah.
He didn't have any kind of a future role in it, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. So also let's talk about one more thing. In Duel of Fates, there was a rumor that we were gonna have Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren.
Actually, let me tell you the whole story about it. Okay. See, it was back, I think, I guess, in 2017 or something. Colin had completed the first draft. Okay. He had given that draft to JJ. He loved the script. The executives freaked out. I don't know why, but they freaked out. It was dark. It was dark. Just I can say as for now.
Okay, so it was not child friendly. That's one thing we can say.
Yeah, I mean, the Disney executives. You throw a dark scene in front of them, and they'll just freak out. They'll just panic.
Okay, yeah, that's one thing. That's why I hate Disney, because they don't like dark stuff. So yeah.
And then what happened is I will tell you one thing. After that, they had plans. Everything was done. They had everything. Script was done. Everything was locked. Unfortunately, the plans went off after the unusual death of the actress.
Carrie Fisher,
yeah. And everything was supposed to be changed. So even if you look at those concept arts, I don't think that would have been ever made. Plans would have been changed immediately.
I mean, during the production of Episode 9, Carrie Fisher already passed away. So they kind of used CGI and all. So if Duel of Fates were made...
let me tell you one thing. Even if they had used CGI, they could have got a sudden backlash from fans.
Okay.
Like they did during Rogue One, I guess. They had received some criticism for Rogue One, where at the end of the film you see Leia Organa, which wasn't actually Carrie Fisher. They could have used the same thing, CGI and all those things for that movie, but it could have been worked.
Okay. So yeah, so as a few seconds ago we talked about Disney not making dark stuff. They are hating dark stuff. So what do you think about Rogue One? I guess Rogue One was one of the best movie that was made under Disney Lucasfilm.
See, they already had planned that after the Skywalker saga ends, they wanted to make an anthology, and they started with Rogue One, and they didn't have any kind of confidence in that film, and even that film had a troubled production. Even they had the director had to face heavy reshoots, but that film turned out to be good. It succeeded, and all of a sudden it just grossed 1 billion, which was a huge surprise to Disney. And they just went forward with their plans, and they made the second film in that anthology, which was the Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out well. But I'm hearing that they're going for a sequel.
Okay, so also when you're talking about Star Wars, movies and all, let's also talk about TV series. So now under Disney, we got Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So now I get to hear rumors that Kathleen Kennedy is banned from the set of Mandalorian, and Jon Favreau, he literally doesn't want Kathleen Kennedy on the set of Mandalorian season 2. So what do you think about it? Do you think Kathleen Kennedy is not compatible for Star Wars franchise?
As per what I have been seeing till now, the scenario, I really think she should exit Star Wars. Because if you look at these people like Ryan Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy and all those people, See, they are made for some original films. They have been managing original films before that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to adapting something like Star Wars or something, I don't think they are capable to do that.
So yeah. So also, like, I heard rumors that Kathleen Kennedy also agreed to make Knights of Old Republic movie.
See, that's a big rumor. I am trying to find out what, because I literally spent 2 to 3 months
Mhm.
finding that out, and randomly just people ask me, is that going to happen or not? And all of a sudden that one thing came out about that. I don't know if you've heard about it, that Taika Waititi thing.
Yep.
That he is going to direct a Star Wars movie. But let me tell you one thing. What I'm hearing is that he's not going to direct Knights of Old Republic.
Okay.
I personally don't like that. I don't like that director. You know, even though some people say that he directed the final episode of Mandalorian, he did a great job. But I don't want his freaky hands on that Knights of Old Republic thing. What I'm hearing is that he's going to direct a Star Wars film, which will be set 400 years before the Phantom Menace.
So, like, even if it, say like it happened like 4,000 years before Phantom Menace.
No, 400 years.
Okay, 400 years. So, like, do you think like Taika Waititi can mess up the history of Star Wars a little bit?
See, at this point, I really can't say anything that he'll be messing up all those things. But even if you look at Taika, he's also good at directing original adaptations or adapted screenplay. Here, that guy recently won an Oscar for his adapted screenplay. So at this point, I really can't say. He has tons of projects right for now. He has that Thor sequel. He has Akira film, which is being held up for Warner Brothers. So don't expect a Star Wars film by him immediately.
Because like the upcoming movies are set to release in 2022, 24 and 26. So maybe he can do it. Like, I'm not sure, but I don't know.
See, he has two projects on hold. Okay. So don't expect him to direct any Star Wars film anytime soon.
So like if Knights of Old Republic is happening, which director do you want it to make? Like, which director should direct that movie?
I think that the list will be really huge, but if it's Jon Favreau again, I wouldn't mind it. But my personal choice will be Denis Villeneuve, or it will be the Game of Thrones directors. Actually, they had signed a trilogy, but unfortunately they were signed through Netflix for the H.P. Lovecraft adaptation or something. So even don't expect it for their arrival anytime soon. But I would love Dennis. He can adapt a science fiction so beautifully, and I'm really eager for him to bring Dune for us, which is coming out this year in December.
I mean, Denis Villeneuve is hands down the best director that we got. Yeah. He's one of my favorite directors as well.
Yeah.
I'm also like waiting for his upcoming Dune movie. And to all my fans who are listening to this, please go and watch Dune in December. I'm sure you will love it, and make sure to watch it in IMAX 3D to get better experience. So let's get back to these talks about Star Wars. So right now, did you read any comics from Marvel, like of Star Wars?
See, let me be true about it. I fucking hate Marvel. I just really hate them. Because let me tell you one thing. Even I have bigger hate for those fans, those fucking MCU fans, because they think like they just watch a goddamn fucking stupid movie every time which comes out, and they will be like they know literally everything about Marvel. But let me tell you one thing. Even if you know something about when you watch a film, it's a temporary information, and that doesn't mean that you are a fan. You're just loving that material and that's it, and you're just ranting about it on Twitter or social media or something. It doesn't make you a fan.
So yeah, so as you just said, MCU fans are doing this and that. Do you think that episode 9 was messed up due to MCU fans or like general audience like that?
It's not like MCU fans or Star Wars. See, I'll tell you one thing. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Okay.
And they'll just keep ranting about it. Okay, like for example, what happened with Phantom Menace was like the same thing. If anyone most complained about Star Wars was Star Wars fans.
Okay.
Phantom Menace was supposed to be something, it was highly anticipated, covered by media and all those things. But George Lucas faced backlash for his trilogy. People laughed at him, and maybe that's the reason Disney never wanted to get on his plans. They didn't agree with his plans. They feared that maybe this time they'll get the same result what had happened with that prequel trilogy, and that's why they never went with him, and they handed over to new directors like JJ and all.
So yeah, so since you told that Star Wars fans hate prequels, what is your opinion on prequels?
See, I guess they were okay. For me, it was okay. And you can see the films, it just improved film by film. Phantom was okay. The Attack of Clones was good, and the Revenge of the Sith was even better. So yeah, I don't have any problem with the prequels.
Okay, so again, I guess this will be the last question, but I want to ask you that whose character development is better, Anakin and Darth Vader, or Kylo Ren and Ben Solo?
See, I think Darth Vader had more backstory than him. It was more deeply explored than what Kylo Ren could have been. So yeah, it was Darth Vader.
Also, yeah, just before finishing this episode, I want to ask you something. Were the Knights of Ren, used really well, or were they underutilized?
They're completely, I think they're fucking wasted.
Hmm.
If you look at those scenes, they literally had to do nothing. They just all of a sudden came in one frame of the movie and just gone. I just expected so much more from them. I thought there would be some brutal battle or something. Kylo Ren versus Rey, or Luke Skywalker. They just fucked up. Everything was fucked up.
Also, the fans are kind of angry at J.J. Abrams because you didn't utilize the character Rose.
See. Before going to that question, I'll tell you one thing about JJ. See, as for now, I'll tell you one thing. He was he had most dedication about that project. But what happened with him was like, literally he got betrayed by Disney. Just like what JJ Abrams and George Lucas and JJ, they equally faced injustice and that too from the studio and by the same person, which was Bob Iger.
Okay.
And when you look at this troubled production history, you realize that how much JJ was frustrated. Like, let me tell you one thing. Most part was like what people are interpreting that Reylo, if I'm right.
Yeah.
What I don't know why they're calling it Reylo. It sounds so fucking dumb. When they're calling it Reylo, he was really pissed off after watching that scene. He thought that it was just out of that
Yeah, because like they were fighting in the beginning, and all of a sudden they became lower. That it was like, I mean, I hated it, to be honest. I didn't like it.
No, let me tell you one thing. I always if you see Last Jedi, you think that these fuckers are going to be lovers at some point, and it literally happened at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
No, but it was like they are enemies. Like they are like Sith and Jedi. They don't get together. Like, I don't see a point in them becoming lovebirds and all. But the kissing scene and all, that wasn't necessary. Like,
see, everything was messed up. Everything was messed up. Like, if you see the opening scene, all of a sudden it like what I said, it all of a sudden opens at Mustafa's that scene. But the backstory was like Kylo Ren always wanted to know the secret behind the powers of his apprentice, Sid's apprentice, which was Snoke.
Okay, yeah.
So to
Sith
know
Master.
where the whereabouts of his power,
Okay,
he just wanted to go wherever possible to find that source of his power, and that thing led Kylo Ren to Mustafa, and that wasn't established in that film, which made it a huge plot hole. If you say that.
because fans were like, how did he go there? And then again they were asking, how did Palpatine resurrect from his death? Like,
See, what I'm hearing is that he never wanted Palpatine back for that thing, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You just kill one of the biggest character in one of the films, and all of a sudden you just use him and bring him back. It sounds really dumb. And if you take that opening scene of the film, if I was a kid sitting in a theater munching some stupid popcorns and watching that damn scene, it will literally freak me out. But if I'm a big Star Wars fan watching that film for years, and if you look at such scene, it sounds completely weird. Like, as if that film was intended to be childish. And I thought that was completely out of the way. I just didn't like that thing. And in fact, many things disturbed me. Like, at one point, C3PO, he loses his memory, and you will be like, oh, he won't be remembering everyone. And all of a sudden, that scene, that emotional destroyed when R2 comes and revives his memory.
Yes, yes.
Everything was like just seems like a cutout or something like that, just temporary, hollow, no depth or something like that, and that thing really pissed me off.
So yeah, so in conclusion, what do you think? If there's an extended cut of this movie where they explain everything, should it be released or?
Let me tell you one thing. We are talking about Disney, so don't expect any director's cut or extended cut from them.
Okay.
It's a bitter truth.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to face criticism for that. If people, they'll be like, "Fuck you." There's going to be extended cut, and just fuck off, piss you, and all those things. I'm ready to hear that. Okay, but it's the truth. Okay, not every film is going to have fate like Snyder cut.
Okay.
That's going to come out, but don't expect any J.J. Abrams cut or something like that. It's a least possibility to happen.
So like if they get major backlash, like
see, now just forget about that backlash. Nothing's gonna happen now. JJ has already left that Disney franchise.
Yeah.
Bad Robot is out of the equation. They have joined Warner Media. They are going to announce plan with, I guess within a month or more than that.
Okay.
So he's completely involved in Warner properties. He'll be developing projects for HBO Max.
Okay.
So don't expect anything from him.
So so let's end this podcast with one last question. Do you think it was a good option for George Lucas to sell his Lucasfilm to Disney?
See, I think he was completely manipulated by him. He always wanted to retire. And see, it was a big story. What happened was that after the sequel trilogy ended, he wanted to develop something new. He wanted a new sequel trilogy to be developed. When he finished his original trilogy, the sequel trilogy would have been something really different. He wanted Luke Skywalker in his mid-40s and something.
Okay.
Or he wanted, Luke Skywalker to be engaged in an affair with a woman. And if that would have happened, that thing could have answered, race, parentage problems and all that something.
Okay, yeah.
But that thing didn't happen.
But in like Legacy Comics, I heard that Luke did have daughters or something, but they after.
See, it's not anything like what DC is doing. If you see that Ezra Miller cameo thing which happened, that thing happened, people freaked out, and we just came to know that okay, that's going to be canon. But the canon is the films itself for Star Wars.
Okay.
So even if they give him a son or dozen kids or so to him, it doesn't matter anymore.
But after Disney brought the property of Lucasfilm, they declared that Darth Revan and Darth Malak, they are not canon to Star Wars.
You see,
but before that, in Legacy Comics, they were totally canon. So now Disney they divided this comic into canon and legacy or legend, I guess.
See, if you observe, all these plans are completely temporary.
Okay.
There is no solid, plans decided for them. It's all temporary. If you look at those previous history of Star Wars films, like I was talking about the sequel trilogy, those plans, he used to change it every time. He didn't have a fixed plan.
Okay.
All of a sudden, after that, he sold his company to Disney. At that acquisition came, he bought Lucasfilm for just damn $5 billion, I guess. And then he expected to direct the 7th episode. George Lucas himself wanted to direct the 7th episode, and then he would have handed over those remaining 2 films to new directors. But what happened is that Disney had actually bought those storylines from him.
Okay.
When they bought Lucasfilm.
Okay.
But those storylines were scrapped, and you know what happened? Lucas freaked out. He left that damn thing, and then handed over everything to J.J. Abrams, and even J.J. got fucked up.
So that's it with this episode. So thanks to Sir CB once again for talking about Star Wars and all. So thanks for listening to this video. listening to this video or podcast, whatever you want to consider it as.
Yeah, I would love to make a podcast on something Marvel and DC. Okay, next.
Okay, so yeah, next time, like you heard, Sir CB, we're gonna make a podcast about Marvel and DC Comics. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the upcoming podcast episode. Thanks for watching once again. Peace.